Welcome everybody to Catfish Weekly, presented by Whiskerware Apparel, along with Doc Lang. I'm Lyle Stokes. Doc, we're going to have to cover for Chuck tonight. They've had some things going on, and I want to send out the best wishes and all the prayers and everything to Leanne. She had lost a niece of hers in a car accident, I believe it was, and Chuck is with her, taking care of those things, and we talked to him earlier, and that is exactly what he should be doing at this time, and everybody should say a little prayer for them guys, because this is a tough situation for all of them.
Yeah.
We all go through these things. It doesn't make it any easier, but I understand that Leanne was really close to this little girl, and I hate to see that, but you know, Chuck's going to be with them tonight, and we got a pretty good deal going on. We got Brad Kilpatrick here from Kansas City Catfish, and we're going to talk about Kansas City Catfish, and we're going to talk about the upcoming Brunswick Wildcat Tournament, which is a night tournament on the Missouri River. Going to be a great time, and we'll get rolling on that and see what we got. How's it going tonight, Brad?
Oh, not too bad. We finally got rid of all this hot weather we've been having in Kansas City. We're getting a little break from that, so that's good. And getting ready for this big tournament we're going to have out there in Brunswick. So,
and that's going to be a giant. You got 50 boats signed up right now or more?
Yeah, we got 54 pre-entries, which is the most in 10 years. That's the most pre-entries we've ever had. So that's we're pretty proud of that number. And
heck yeah.
We should be well over 100 boats for this event. We got $6,000 added to the payout, so at 54 boats, we're looking at $11,000 right now for payout, and that's going to go way up.
Man, that's awesome. That's a Brunswick. People don't realize Brunswick's a pretty small town, so they're really stepping up the game here and getting things rolling and trying to get this off the ground, and they've done an outstanding job to help you out.
Yeah, they really have. They put a lot of effort into it, and this year we're going to get stuff kicked off on Friday night. We're gonna open up registration Friday night at 6 p.m. and we're going to have complimentary beer and barbecue for everybody that shows up, and we're going to have a Calcutta auction at 7:30. And then, of course, Saturday we'll reopen registration. That's the day of the tournament at 11 a.m. to 1. We'll have a captain's meeting immediately following at 1 o'clock, and then get the tournament started at 7. So we got a lot of things going on.
You know, I'm not going to miss out on that beer and barbecue, especially the barbecue. I'm going to be all over that. I'll eat Doc's share while I'm there. I don't want him to feel left out. So.
Well, I'm no stranger to good barbecue either. So.
Well, let's talk about this Calcutta. Have you got everything lined out? Can you explain to everybody how that's going to work out?
Yeah, the Calcutta, we're going to auction off all the pre-entered teams. So we got 54 teams in it right now. Of course, if you want to join in, just come on up. Melissa will get you signed up, and we'll get you in that Calcutta auction. The way they've decided they want to do this is that the Calcutta is going to be winner take all. Whoever owns the highest placing team in the Calcutta, they will get 80% of the pot, and the actual team will get 20% of the pot. So, you know, getting in this is going to be a great way for teams to, you know, increase their possibility of winning even more money out there. So I think it's a pretty good deal. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We've done a Calcutta a couple of times before, and we've had a lot of fun with it. The really cool thing is this time we're actually going to have a real live auctioneer out there auctioning the teams off, which, you know, we've never been able to do in the past. So that's going to be kind of cool too.
Heck yeah! Now, do you have to be an entry in the tournament to get in to buy people in the Calcutta, or can people in the audience and anybody buy?
Anybody can buy a team. Anybody can buy a team. You don't have to be in the tournament. So we're going to I'm sure we'll get a lot of people out of the community involved with the tournament
Oh,
this
yeah.
way, and I'm sure we'll have a big crowd at that Calcutta auction.
Oh, I'm quite sure there will be, and I went through that list a couple of days ago, and I know that you probably added some entries since then, and there is some really big players in this thing.
Now, all my best guys will be there, and I'll just tell it like it is. If you can catch fish consistently on the Missouri River, you can catch fish anywhere, and that takes some doing. The Missouri River is a tough fishery, and we've got some really big fish, but it can be a tough fishery. And boy, I tell you what, if you can catch fish there, you can catch them anywhere. So and our fishing right now is excellent. The guys up north of me, the PBSS Club, is another great organization. They had a tournament over the weekend. And if memory serves right, first place was 177 pounds. Second place was like 174 pounds. So our fishing's really, really good right now.
It's hot. It's hot everywhere right now. I know I've talked to some of the boys down in St. Louis, and it's on fire down there. And some of them say they're not catching the big fish. Others say they are catching the big fish. But the guys that say they're not catching them, they're catching 30, 40 a day in the teens and 20s. And either way, you can't beat a deal like that for a day on the water. I mean, if you're catching big ones or if you're catching big numbers, either one's perfect for me.
I'll take either one.
You betcha.
You're right. I mean, I like catching fish. That's my thing. I just like catching fish. Big fish, little fish, I don't care. I
agree. I agree. And of course, if you're in a tournament, you're looking for big fish. But to me, it doesn't matter if you have a 3-fish limit or a 5-fish limit or a 40-fish limit. The first thing you got to do is get that limit in the boat. Then you can work on upgrading and go on from there. But if you don't have a limit in the boat, most of the time, you're not going to do real good. But once in a while, somebody will sneak in and get a giant, and they may win it with one fish. But as a general rule, you got to have a limit of fish.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. And my most consistent teams are the guys that bring me 5 fish. I mean, that's the guys that win my points race, the guys that are competing for that title. They're the teams that bring in 5 fish, and they do it consistently. And it might not be the biggest 5 fish, but they bring us 5 fish, and they're always up there. So
Yep.
Is that
Doc? If you got
5? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, Brad. Is that what your tournament requires? 5-fish limit?
Yeah, we've got a 5-fish limit. All fish have to be alive. We don't allow stringers. We prefer that you have a live well sufficient to keep those fish alive. If you don't, there's still some guys out there that are running some smaller boats that it's just not safe to put 100 gallons of water or whatever in their boat. We do allow them to use toy bags, and our scales are open during the entire tournament.
Oh, so if somebody has a weak fish,
they don't feel they can keep alive, they can bring it in, and we'll get it weighed and take a picture. And
got it.
We got a couple big holding tanks that are aerated and have oxygen on them, and if they bring us a big fish early, we'll take care of that fish, put it in our tank, and keep it alive for the morning.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Doc, I don't know if you've ever been around or seen pictures of Brad's tanks, but he's got some big old tanks, and they got oxygen on them. And when he turns those fish back into the river or whatever body of water the tournament's on, they're far better shape probably when he releases them than they ever was swimming out there. I mean, he really takes good care of them.
Well, I tell you what, sometimes we have a hard time getting them out of them doggone tanks.
Yeah, you need Ace to come over there. Ace Weisenberger lives up in Quincy, Illinois, and once he's done fishing and they release them into them holding tanks that they use over there, he gets in there, swims around with them, and that kid is just amazing. When it's ready to catch them, they don't have to let the water out. He just swim down there and grab one up at a time and take them over, and they go release them. He get another one. He just, I don't know how they ever get him home because he's always soaked to the bone. You know what I mean?
I
That's
haven't
probably
get
that's
in
probably a lot of fun for him though.
It is, especially on these days when it's 9,500 degrees.
Oh, I've been tempted a few times to get in the tank. I haven't done it yet. Woo, it gets hot up here in the,
Yeah,
times,
it does. And the humidity gets pretty rough at times too.
Well, we just went off we're getting a break today and all this week, but last week we were upper 90s, 100 with, 60, 70% humidity all week. I mean, it was just, the weather was just terrible hot, uncomfortable.
I understand. That's one thing about a night tournament. It makes them a little more comfortable, the guys sitting in the boat. I mean, it really does.
Well, we have a hard time here. We have a real hard time when it gets to the dog days of summer like we're having now. We have a hard time catching fish during the day. I think those fish don't like it hot either, and they just go sit down on the bottom of the river and don't do a whole lot. So
I agree.
our best bites at night, and that's why we have, our best bites at night, and it's easier to keep the fish alive at night. The water's a little bit cooler. Everything's just a little bit cooler. And that's why we have our night tournaments during the middle of summer. So,
Brad, you was talking about that Calcutta. Do you have a starting point of what it's going to take for people to start the bids at?
I think we'll probably start off at like $10 a team and go up from there.
Now, if nobody bids on a certain team, that team has got to buy themselves. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, if nobody wants to give $10, we'll lower it down. I mean, I know in the past we've started off at $10. Most teams will sell for that. Most teams sell for more than that. Especially once things get rolling. Last one we had several teams go for over $100 a piece. So
yeah, is John Jameson going to be there?
John will not be able to make this one. He's up north filming a show with Lund Boats right now.
I did read that. That's pretty good of him. But you still got some big guys in there, man. I mean, there's some big name guys.
Cook will be there. The Gerloffs will be there.
Bo Brockman.
Couple of the best fishermen nobody's ever heard about, Andy and Randy Carnes, will be there. We've got some really good guys here and a lot of them just tend to they want to stay under the radar. They don't want any. I got a lot of guys that fund everything themselves. They don't want sponsors. They just want to go fish, and they do a lot of fishing, and they're really good. So and I'm going to talk them all up. I'm getting all their information now. We're in that process now, getting all their accolades, personal best, years of experience, tournament wins. We're getting all that put together. So I'll introduce all the teams and have a list of, their accomplishments and accolades, to talk them up a little bit. I think it'll go over really well. I think we'll have a good time with it. And hey, if we're going to have beer and barbecue, so that'll always make things a little bit better.
Like I said, I'm going to be in for some of that. Doc, have you got any questions specifically for Brad about the tournament or about Kansas City catfishing?
I just like the beer and barbecue. I mean, the barbecue's already done ate, and I'm saliving right now.
Hey, we got a spot for you over here, buddy.
Come on over, Doc. Oh, we'd love to have you.
When's the tournament? This weekend?
No, it's in 2 weeks, August 6th.
Yeah, that I gotta work, so won't be there. Sorry.
Well, that's no good. Maybe next year, buddy.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
Oh, Peanut, go away. My little dog.
It's a lot of fun.
Go. Come here, Peanut. Yeah.
We fished the Waverly tournament, or wasn't it a couple years ago up there, night tournament?
Yeah. Yep, that's
it was
those Waverly tournaments. I got those from another organization. They gave those tournaments to me, and those are actually the longest running catfishing tournaments in the state of Missouri. Those have been going for I'm thinking close to 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
Doc Yao was in it for a long time. He's an outstanding guy, really good guy.
Yeah, yeah. Old Jimmy Dockwell. He still shows up from time to time. He's getting up there, you know. I mean, I don't know how old he is anymore, but he still shows up from time to time. Gets out there with the guys and fishes, and I'm really proud that we've been able to keep that tradition in Waverly going. And hopefully, one of these days when I decide to hang this up, I'm make sure that I turn that tournament over to somebody else and keep that thing going in good hands and keep that tradition going, because that's always a good tournament too. I mean, that's always 50
Yeah.
plus load,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
It is. It's a great tournament. I met Doc up in Cat's Incredible tournament up in North Dakota, and him and his brother was up there, and they are just a hoot, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's another good one. I think Jameson's going to fish that one while he's up north too. I think he's
just so far. You know, if he's up there filming and able to fish that tournament, that's awesome. But I mean, it is a long drive up there and back. I'm not kidding you.
Oh yeah, it's a long ways up there. But boy, they got some good fishing up there too. So, you know, there's good fishing all over this country if you're willing to drive and go find it and put the time in.
That's right.
Fishing all over.
That's right. You have some tournaments over in Kansas that if anything ever happens where I can make my way over there, where in some of those big blue lakes and then big channel cat lakes, I want to try to do it. So much stuff goes on that you can't make all the ones that you want to, but one of these days I'm going to sneak in there. I want to fish Calamus, and I want to fish, what's the name of that big lake where we got them giant blues at?
Milford,
yeah, I want to fish Milford one day. But I want you to stop the wind before I get there so I don't get seasick during the tournament.
Well, you know, we postponed the tournament this year out at Milford. We've been doing it out there in spring, which is great fishing that time of year. But, man, that wind out there, you get out there in those Kansas plains and that wind kicks up and there's nothing to stop it.
Right.
And that lake can just get flat out dangerous. And we had forecast 20-mile-an-hour winds and some thunderstorms on the weekend. We were trying to go out there, so I postponed it. We're going to be doing that tournament in the fall, and we're going to take a good long look at it. We're hoping things work out the way that we're wanting them to, and we're hoping to move that tournament to the fall where we get into a little bit more stable weather pattern, a little safer for everybody. You know, a few years back we had a tournament at Milford, and we had 3 boats go down in that tournament. And I've been scared of that lake ever since. I'm not in this business to put people in harm's way, and we've been overly cautious with that spring tournament. And now my thinking is I'm really hoping that the guys catch some good fish this fall, and we can just move that event to the fall and get away from those spring winds here in Kansas, because that just scares the dickens out of me. And it's some of the best fishing in the year out there in the spring, but the weather just never seems to cooperate with us.
Right.
We always get those winds, and you know, we're just not having any luck with it in the spring. So I think I'm going to move it to the fall.
You just can't double guess Mother Nature, which brings me up to something I wanted to ask you about being a tournament director, and have done it for years. I'd read a post on Chad Wall's Facebook page where he made a post about some guy being mad because they didn't cancel a tournament. And I don't believe that there is a tournament director anywhere in the United States that doesn't consider the fact that safety is the #1 priority of everybody that enters these tournaments. Now, if it's not a safety issue and one guy is afraid of something, that's different between the fact that there's lightning or a tornado or something like that. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we've in the past we've delayed the launch of tournaments because of the weather and the water conditions. We've postponed tournaments. I did it this year. I postponed a tournament because it just looked like it was going to be nasty, and I know that body of water can get rough. And like I said, nobody's in this business to put anybody in harm's way. What we do is dangerous enough. You know, you put a bunch of guys on the water, and you don't know what their skill level is. We don't know what the condition of their boats always are in, and you just got to, sometimes you have to err on the side of caution, and that's what we've chosen to do.
That's exactly right. We used to do that. We canceled tournaments, postponed tournaments for years, and you're on the Missouri River up there, and it fluctuates a great deal. And usually, if we was having tournaments that was in concern on the flooding issue, it was because of the Missouri either jumping way up or the Mississippi or something like that. I mean, but if you're on a lake and you got high winds, lightning is one of the things that absolutely always worried me the worst. If it was lightning, I'd just as soon wait an hour until that storm blows over and give everybody a chance, because nobody wants to be on that water. Them boats are aluminum. It's like having a lightning rod out there that you're sitting on, riding it like a witch on a broom,
Well, when we've had tournaments where we've had, foul weather predicted, and I've always told the guys, we have a rule that you have to stay within 50 yards of your boat, and we do that in case somebody has a female in the boat and they need to go to the restroom or something during the tournament. We want to allow them to be able to, get up into the trees, take care of their business, go to the porta potty, whatever.
Right.
So I tell the guys when we have foul weather, the 50-yard rule is out. If you need to put your boat on the shore and get up and go take shelter, that's what you need to do. The 50-yard rule's out. If that's what you got to do, if it concerns your safety, go for it. That's what we got to do. Get up under a bridge, do whatever the heck you got to do to stay safe, and get out of that lightning, get out of that rain, whatever you need to do to keep yourself safe.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That kind of fits the bill with you too, doesn't it, Doc?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I do not like lightning. Actually, I don't like storms, period. As I've gotten older, it bothers me more and more. I remember the Sea Arc tournament, the one year I went to that. For the first 2 hours before the tournament started, there was lightning ripping across the sky. It wasn't coming down, but it had me on edge all day.
Yeah, it'll do it. It really will. That was a tournament down in St. Louis you and Lynn was at, wasn't it?
No, that was in Owensboro. It was the one that was in Owensboro that year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I try to tell all these there's new tournaments popping up everywhere, and that's one of the things that I tell them is you got to be safe. You got to keep in mind that you personally might be able to navigate the water and the conditions that it's in, but you don't know what your participants are capable of. And when these events are open to the public, you got to take that into consideration, So
that's right. That's exactly.
I tell them protect your anglers, and then I also tell them you got to protect yourself in this day and age. You need to become an LLC. You need to, buy your insurance, protect your liability, because heaven forbid should somebody get injured or, even get killed during one of your events, you're the one that's in charge. You're the one that they're going to come after. So
that's right. And even though most all of the guys have big insurance policies to try to prevent, nobody wants to use it. Just because you got it, nobody wants to use that insurance policy.
No.
I've been paying my premiums for 10 years. I haven't used it yet, thank goodness. So
that's right.
But I'm going to keep paying it, and I'm going to keep my LLC up to date, and because at the end of the day, no matter what, we all just want to go fishing tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all we all want to do, is we just want to go fishing tomorrow, and you just don't want something bad to happen that could prevent you from doing it.
Well, and not only that, we don't want to put a black eye on the sport either.
Well, absolutely not, and sometimes it's a tough call, because, you're never going to make everybody happy. Every time I postpone a tournament, I get a flood of messages and a flood of emails. Yeah. Oh, we could have had it. And, well, I'm not stopping you from going fishing. If you want to go fishing, you're just not going to do it on my time.
All the years that we run the tournaments and stuff, I really enjoy doing it, but I don't miss it enough to go back to doing it for anything. I think I found a good guy that does it and took it over, and I'm very pleased with what him and his wife do. Alex and Elizabeth did an outstanding job. I don't have to fool with it. I still go to most all the tournaments, but I would probably help someone if they needed help at an event someplace. But as far as going back to running them, I'm just too damn old for it, Brad.
I tell you what, it's a terrible amount of work, and nobody realizes how much work it is until they actually jump in there and start doing it.
That's exactly right. Unless they've been involved with it, they really don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a ton of work, that's for sure.
You get 50, 80, 100 boats all in one place at one time. You done something.
Yeah.
That takes effort. That doesn't happen on its own. Some people think that. Oh, well, Brad just shows up and he gets his scale out and he hangs some banners up and 50 boats show up by magic and it's just easy.
I tell you, and we all three of us are sitting here talking about this, but the way you have to do it is you have to have some volunteers to help, because if you have to keep taking money out of the payout to pay different aspects of it, that it runs out pretty quick. And one thing that you and Aaron Wheatley and a lot of these guys have done, have come up with people to help you at these tournaments that really do a good job. I mean, I've been to some of your tournaments, and I sat in a motel room years one night. We talked about that, and finding people that'll help you to start with is hard. And when you find a good one, you got to take care of them. I know we used to pay guys $100 to sit at the launch area for if they had to come in and weigh fish at night tournaments. And maybe nobody weighed a fish all night, but you still got to pay them that money if you promised it to them. You just got to.
I got a guy, and I pay him $125, and he lives out around the Waverly, Brunswick area, and I pay him $125 to do both Waverly tournaments and Brunswick, and all I ask of him is to show up, help me do some live well checks before the tournament, and watch the scale overnight. We just had Waverly a couple weeks ago. Nobody came in early to weigh a fish. He sat at that ramp all night long, didn't do a doggone thing.
Yep.
He sat in his truck in the air conditioning with his grandson with his portable DVD player and watched movies all night. and I paid him $125 and happy to do it.
You got to do it. Either that or you got to stay there yourself. And I've done that too, but it makes it a whole lot easier for the guys running a tournament if they can go on and get them some sleep, so that when weigh-in time comes, they're ready to go instead of being dragging butt from being up all night waiting for somebody to come in and weigh some fish.
Oh yeah, and we've pitched a tent out there at the Waverly ramp before, which there's railroad tracks. You got to cross the railroad tracks to get to the boat ramp. And I swear to God, there's a train that comes by every hour and a half out there in the middle of the night. So you ain't getting a lick of sleep. About the time you fall asleep, here comes the train. Blowing its horn, shining its light through your tent, because there's not a hotel in sight anywhere out there that you can go to if you're close. We go to a hotel now. We go over to Carrollton and get a hotel, and we turn things over to Dennis and leave him there all night. Pay him good money to sit there, and we go get cooled off, have dinner, sit at the hotel room, and watch the Royals game. So. Get everything ready for the next morning. And it just works out so much better that way.
Did you say you went back to the motel and watched the Cardinals game?
Watch the Royals game?
Cardinals?
Cardinals?
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Oh,
I can see where this is going.
Royals?
I'm really anxious. It's been a couple of years since I've been to one of your tournaments, and I haven't seen a lot of them guys since the last time I was over there.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure you'll have a good time. There's one reason and one reason only I've been doing this for the 10 years that I have, and that's because of the types of guys that show up to my tournaments and all the fun that we do have. I talk about all the work and all this and that, but you know what? We have such a good time, and we have such great guys that show up to these events. That's the only thing that keeps this thing going. It's just those guys are such a great group of guys. We've been really blessed over the years to have those guys showing up. You know, they're good fishermen.
Oh, I
But
know.
they're even better people.
That's exactly right. Like I say, some of them I haven't seen for a couple of years, and some of them I see at different events. You know, like the Gerloffs and Brent and Danny and Rob. I see them guys every once in a while. But a lot of them guys I don't get to see unless I go over your way, and that's going to start becoming more for us since we moved down but to Buffalo, because you got a lot of them that's a lot closer for me, and I like fishing against them guys. I'm telling you, if you can place in the money at a Kansas City Catfish tournament, you've done all right.
Yeah, you really have. We've got the level of competition's pretty high, and you know, the great thing is that the guys are so forthcoming and so good with the new guys that do show up. They might not help you out before the tournament, but afterwards you always see, you know, groups of guys around boats and somebody giving advice, helping the new guys out, you know, helping them. Hey, no, you need to do it this way. You need to, you know, here, look at this rig.
Right.
You know, this is what we were using for bait. This is where we were fishing. And they're really good like that, and that's what keeps things growing. And, you know, because, you know, over the years we've had guys that kind of dropped off the trail. You know, life happens,
Yeah.
change, and some guys aren't able to participate like they used to, and so but we've got a constant stream of new guys getting into the sport, and the way that my guys help these fellas out, it's just great. It works out, and we keep things going that way, and it's just been a really neat experience over the years.
Well, you know, there's a couple of guys that I want to watch in that Calcutta. I'm not sure if they're entered in it, but Joel Roberts is one of them, and oh shoot, Craig Shoemate's another one. If they're entered in that Calcutta, I'm going to have my eyes on them guys. Joel's laid some absolutely giant fish out there over there your direction.
Oh yeah, I had to, a couple of years ago. I had to go out and weigh. I think we thought he might have had the state record, and it ended up coming in just short. It was 96.6.
Yeah, 97 pounds. That's just a stud now. I mean, it really is.
And Joel will be in the Calcutta auction. He is pre-registered. He'll be there, so you can buy him up.
I'm liable to. You know, Bo Brockman and Brent Riddle, you know, any of them guys, they better not go too cheap, or this old man will be getting in on the action.
Oh, there you go. They'll be there. They'll be in there.
Oh yeah, the last tournament that we was at that had a Calcutta was the Jack and Jill tournament, not this year, but the year before. Well, it might have been 2 years ago. But anyhow, Cindy, we was running a tournament. You know how you can't really run a tournament and fish the thing, and Cindy bought the team that won it bought the Calcutta and got to split whatever the split was with them. And my God, you'd thought she'd have won the lottery or something. You know, she just went off on that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
We'll have a lot of fun with it. There'll be a lot. There'll be a lot of trash talking and a lot of giving the guys a hard time, you know. But I tell you what, it's just going to be a lot of fun. And this is such a big tournament, and the guys out there in Brunswick, the community has really gotten behind this thing, and they'll come out and help us out. And we've got so much going on. It's going to be a good time. And
well, you know, Clinton Dale and some of them guys that lives over there by there, they've really been pushing this for you, trying to help you get it going, and I think that has paid off in a big way.
Yeah, them fellas have really stepped it up and really helped out a lot. There's so many people that have gone into this and stepped up and tried to build this up. They really want to have, you know, this is going to be a tradition out in Brunswick. This tournament's not going anywhere. You know, I just got pictures the other day. They stretched a big old banner across Main Street. You know, Brunswick Wildcat Tournament, first week in August. You know, find us on Facebook. So they're really getting into it. It's just going to be a great time, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. Huh,
Right.
Peanut? Go away, Peanut.
I'm really excited about it. We've been planning on it. I don't know. We got in on it pretty early this year.
Yeah, I think you're in the. Aren't you in the first group, the first 10?
I think so. I could be wrong,
Sure.
but I think we are. We're planning on getting up there a few days early and doing some looking around. I've never been to that area. I've been close to it, but I've not ever fished it. So
Well,
we'll do some looking around, see what we can find.
it's the same. It's the same basic stretch as when you fished out there in Waverly. It's not that far away. So let's see.
Well, I know every year that I see the weights and stuff after the tournament's over, there's always some giant fish caught out there. There always is.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's always that's just big fish water out there, and you know that's just what's out there. And I'm expecting well over 100 pounds to win this tournament. You know,
Oh yeah.
it'll be a good one. It'll be a good one. The biggest fish we ever weighed is 98 pounds. We did that at Atchison. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. We weighed a 98 pounder in Atchison, Kansas, and boy, it wouldn't surprise me to have one bigger come in out there at Brunswick. It wouldn't surprise me a bit.
I agree.
The number of
You know,
have on the water, anything's possible.
you guys up your area from say middle part of the state to Kansas City line. Every year there's been some really good fish put in the water. From say for Jeff City, I don't know. There's been a few good fish every year put in the water, but it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the last 10 years or so, there's more of them than there used to be. Big fish coming from that area. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I mean, we just had one guys out fun fishing this weekend in Kansas City, boated a 90 pounder, and it's on the KC Catfish Facebook page. Look at that picture, and I'll tell you what, if there was ever a legitimate 90 pounder, that's it. I wish they would have called me and had me come out and weigh that fish. I think it was more than 90. I think that might have been a state record, and their scale wasn't weighing right. And it's just a monster. It's just
What is the state
I would have
record?
loved to put it on my scale and see what that thing really weighed, because I think 90 pounds is light. I could be wrong. Their scale could be right, but man.
You know what the state record is, Brad? I forgot. It's 123.
Kansas is 102.8.
Oh,
What is it?
Kansas is how much?
Oh, I can't hear you.
What'd you say it was?
102.8. Rob Stanley. Rob and I went out fishing on the Missouri River one night, and about 5 in the morning, his pole doubled over, and half an hour later or so, we ended up boating this fish. It was we weighed it on his 100-pound Berkeley scale, and as soon as we picked that fish up, the scale said full. We set it back down, and he says, "What's the scale size?" It said full, Rob. I said, "Turn the scale off, turn it back on. Let's do this again." And he picked it back up and said full again. I said, "Well, Rob," I said, "I think you got the state record here, buddy. What do you want to do?" And he says, "Well," I said, "Do you want that record? Do you want to try to get this record?" And he says, "Yeah." So we got that fish back in the water and made our way back down to Call Point, and we called a few other people, woke them up, got them up out of bed. We got my scales, my tournament scales are certified with Kansas and Missouri, and so we got somebody to come by my house and got my scales, got them down there. We called another guy. He brought a stock tank and a bottle of oxygen out there, and we ended up keeping that fish alive for 4 hours till it was finally got certified, and we got a biologist from the state of Kansas out there to certify the weight and certify that it was a blue cat, and then we let her go. And I think that was 5 years ago. I think something like that. And
Quite a while back.
yeah, that record's held for 5 years or so. I'm actually really surprised that it's still on the books. I'm surprised that somebody hadn't broken it. Man, it could happen tonight. You know,
That's right.
there's
Yeah,
fish
that's
that
right.
big and bigger fishing in our water, swimming in our water. So
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
will break that sometime soon, next couple of years, I would imagine. It might come from
Uh,
Lake. I mean, Milford Lake's such an excellent fishery too. I'd say there's
yes.
an outside chance of it happening at Milford. It'll probably happen on the Kansas and Missouri River, though.
That'd be all right.
Oh,
In our chat, Claude Reynolds says it takes a lot of work to run them tournaments. His first one was when he done that benefit for Austin. Said it was really stressful, and then he said he had some great times doing it, but it's a lot of preparation. Uh, and he only had 4 months to do it. Well, 4 months sounds like a lot of time, but by the time you make all the calls and do all the stuff, that goes by pretty quick, don't it, Brad?
oh yeah. Well, I think we had our first meeting for Brunswick this year in February.
Right,
I made
right.
my first trip out to Brunswick, and I think I've made 3 or 4 more trips out there since then. You
Oh,
know,
I'm sure.
to meet with the organizers and make sure. I mean, we just had one a couple of weeks ago, our last meeting before the tournament, just to make sure that everybody was on the same page. We had all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and we knew what was going on.
And that's what you got to do. You just
there,
have to do it.
there'll always be that one thing that happens at the, at the last minute that nobody saw coming, and we'll have to figure something out. But
Right.
I think we got everything covered. I think everything will go off smooth. It always has in the past. We've always managed. So
Now, you want to go through the takeoff procedure that's going to be at Brunswick?
okay, when you come to Brunswick. You're going to come to the high school and get signed up, get checked in. At that point in time, you're pretty much free to do whatever you want for a few hours. I would suggest that people go put their boat on the Grand River. We're all launching from one ramp this year. We're all taking off from the Grand River this year. It is going to take a while to get all the boats on the water, but I would highly suggest that people go put their boat on the water as soon as they get there. Tie it off to the shore. We got people out there that'll be on the Grand River. They'll ferry you from your boat back to shore, from the shore to the boat, and keep an eye on everything. Make sure there won't be anybody stealing anything. There'll be so many people around, but just
Right.
keep an eye on the boats while they're out there tied off to the shore. Our meeting will be at 1 o'clock. That's mandatory, and then we'll all leave from the Grand River at 7 o'clock. We're putting buoys out on the Grand River that'll be color coded, and your check-in stick will also be color coded, so you'll know where to line up and get everybody in order. We'll launch everybody out of there in groups of 10, and you'll bunch up in groups of 20. So it'll be pretty easy to figure it out. I think we got it pretty foolproof. We'll get everybody out of there as quick as we can. We're going to do about a minute between flights. We'll let the first 10 boats go. A minute later, the next 10, and so on and so forth. But it should all move pretty well. Everything should go smoothly. We will allow you to use 2 other ramps to pull out. We got the Miami ramp and the Dalton ramp that we'll have a truck sitting there to shuttle people. What we're suggesting is if you have fished away, come on back to Brunswick and pull your boat out at Brunswick. Go to the high school to get weighed in. And if you don't have fished away, pull your boat out at one of these other ramps at Miami or Dalton. We'll meet you there. We'll have somebody take you back to Brunswick, drop you off at your vehicle. You can drive back, pull your boat out, come on back up to the high school, see the weigh in, do whatever, go home, whatever you want to do. But it'll work out. I think we got this pretty much the way we want it, and we are in the process of getting another ramp built out there at Brunswick so we can add to the capacity. We're going to have a little bit of growing pains, getting everybody in this year, but I think we're giving you all day to do it. So we'll get everybody in. Everything will be just fine.
I'm excited.
we've had 125 boats there before in Brunswick, and over half of them launched. We got over half of them launched from the Brunswick ramp in 2 hours. So, if we have 125 boats again, which I think is about where we'll be at this year, I'm looking at 125, maybe top out at 150, and we've got from like 1:30 till 7 to get everybody on the water. So getting everybody on the water is not going to be an issue. If we can get 65, 70 on the water in 2 hours, we can get 125 in 6 hours. No problem.
That's exactly right. Cindy wrote us a note, said we go out boat 12. And Cliff Miller says that he'd like to make this one, but evidently he must have to work or something. He wanted to know if anyone fishes the Grand River itself.
I'm sure there'll probably be a couple boats that fish the Grand River. That's open. In my tournaments, you can fish anywhere you can get by water. So all the little tributaries, all the little creeks, everything is fair game in my tournaments. And I don't put boundaries on it. With a tournament this size, I want people to spread out.
Absolutely, yes, I do know.
Yeah.
We'll probably have we'll have a boat or two that might even go all the way back to Kansas City to fish.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Well, we do have Cargill and Rybolt, and they like to make those long runs.
Well, they had a,
he doesn't think that you can catch a fish within 50 miles of a boat ramp, so
well,
big long runs.
I've found fish at them boat ramps a time or two, and I never won one fishing close to them. But I've placed pretty high up in some tournaments, and you could see the boat ramp from where I was at.
Oh, and we've had that happen too. We've had people run 30, 40 miles and come back without a fish, and come to find out that somebody was fishing within sight of the boat ramp and got in the money.
The last night tournament of yours I fished, Cindy and I went out, and we went an hour up the river. And the next morning we left extra early because, if you remember, that was a foggy day that morning.
Yeah, that happens.
Oh, man. I think we was like an hour and 15, 20 minutes getting back, and it was really bad that morning.
Yeah, well, we'll look at the weather conditions, and if it looks like it's going to be foggy the next morning, we will give the anglers, that notice and let them know what we're expecting, and because there is no excuse for being late. If you're late, you're late.
No, you can always leave early. I agree with that, and some guys throw a fit about it. Some guys throw a fit about that, but the rules give you a time to be there. It's up to you to make sure you're there at that time.
Exactly. And there's, like I said, there is no excuse for being late.
Nope. If you got to leave at midnight to get in, so be it.
That's what you need to do. And
that's right. Doc, have you got any other questions for Brad for tonight?
No, he pretty much answered everything. I had questions, but he was just giving everything right there. So no, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Brad.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on tonight. It's always a pleasure.
I think this is probably going to be one of the top 2 or 3 biggest tournaments west of the Mississippi this year. It may very well be the biggest tournament west of the Mississippi.
Well, we hope so, and regardless of where we come in, we're just going to have a good time with it and have a lot of fun and catch a lot of big fish. And I hope everybody can come join us. And if you can't make it this year, hey, first weekend in August next year, we'll be back. We'll be doing her again.
Be doing the same thing. Well, Brad, if there's any sponsors or anything you'd like to thank, or anybody you want to talk about, or and give them your contact information, and go ahead and make all that ready for people so that they can get on in there if they want to enter the tournament or get in touch with you or something. Let's make it easy for them to do.
All right. Well, of course, our headline sponsor is Lund Boats, the greatest aluminum boat builder in the world. If for you guys that don't know, Lund Boats puts $1,000 into every one of my tournaments. 500 of it is gone into a random drawing for guys that fish out of a Lund boat, and then another 500 is paid as a bonus for first place. Of course, we're sponsored by Monster Rod Holders, Abu Garcia, Shakespeare, Berkeley. Let's see, Monster Rod Holders. Academy Sports and Outdoors is our big fish sponsor. We give away a $100 gift card to Academy Sports on top of the big fish money every tournament. Whisker Wear Apparel, one of your guys' sponsors, also helps us out. So, you know.
You can't beat on Rob. He's a great guy.
Oh, yeah, he is a great guy. And you know, coolest catfishing gear out there. You know, so we always see a lot of the guys sporting the Whisker Wear apparel at our events, and it was just a good deal that we got hooked up with him. If you want to enter the Brunswick tournament or any of the Kansas City Catfish events, we have a PayPal entry now. You just go to www.kccatfish.com and click on the online entry tab and just kind of follow the directions. It's pretty simple. Click the tournament you want to enter, give them your credit card information, and usually within 24 hours we will send you an email, let you know that we've received your payment, and let you know what your boat number is. Do keep in mind that for the Brunswick tournament, the entry will close at midnight on Saturday. This Saturday is the deadline for, and after that, you're going to have to come to Brunswick and sign up on site, and that'll cost you an extra $20. So it's 140 pre-entry, 160 late entry, and I hope to see everybody out there. We're going to have a heck of a good time.
Jerry Dillard lives down in Texas. He said he wishes he could make it, but 700-plus miles is a little far for him to pull a boat. Brad, if he can get up here, he can get in this tournament. I mean,
yeah.
You know, you and I go all over to long ways to some of these tournaments down in Alabama and Tennessee and Kentucky and all them places, and 700 miles ain't that big a stretch.
Oh. Tell me he needs to hike up his skirt and get up here. We'll feed him.
Jerry is nearly watches the show about every week, and he's always got some good information to share with people. And yeah, I promise you, Jerry, if you can make it up here, that Missouri River is something that I promise you've never seen anything like it before down in Texas.
Yeah. Hey, and they got some pretty good barbecue down in Texas, too.
As a matter of fact, they do. Yes,
but
sir.
we'll give them a run for their money up here.
Well, Brad, thank you so much for being on Catfish Weekly with us tonight. We was trying to make sure we got everything done before the tournament, and we picked out tonight, and I'm glad you was able to join us. And if I don't see you before then, I will see you over there at the tournament, and we'll have some fun.
All right, Lyle, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure, as always.
Thanks again,
right,
Brad.
Well,
have a good evening.
We'll be talking to you soon. All right, bud.
Thanks again.
Well, Doc, that's one of the premier deals west of he puts on a great show. It's comparable to anybody that puts on tournaments. He does a really good job. The safety of his fish is one of the main things that Brad is concerned with. He has the big holding tanks and oxygen and everything for them set up, and he babies them things just like they was a house pet or something, and he does a really good job. And this is going to be a really big tournament in this area, in the Missouri River. In that area, it's just chock full of 50s and 60s and stuff like that. And he's about got all the big name guys going to be in there now. It's going to be pretty hard to handle.
I like how excited he gets over it. You just mentioned buddy, he rolls.
Yeah, he does. He gets wound up about it. Now, Brad's been doing them, I think, for 10 years. I think that's what he said. Him and I started doing them babies together about the same time, and one of us may have been a year or so ahead of the other, and I don't really remember. But he's got a really good area, and he takes good care of the way he runs the tournaments. And people, for the most part, you're not going to please everybody, but for the most part, he has almost always got a good turnout, and he's got some good water to fish.
Yeah, good deal.
Absolutely. How about tournament results for tonight? Did you get any for this week?
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
I fished in a tournament this weekend. It was a catchaser.net tournament, and it was kind of unique in the fact that it was a two-nighter. Started at 8 o'clock. Weigh-in was at 3:30 in the morning. The, the weather was gorgeous. It was beautiful. It was really hot out there because it was, at 2 o'clock in the morning, it was like 75 degrees outside. I think every bug in the United States was out that day because, they were just in your face. And then as soon as the moon came up, they were gone. But the tournament did real good. First place was Shannon and Melinda Colley. They also had a big fish on night number 2, which was a 24-pound flat. They had a total weight of 74 pounds. Dana Jackson, who is the tournament director, and Sean Adcock, who is the co-tournament director, they were in second with 55.7 pounds. James Wesney and Craig Shurey had 53.9 pounds. And myself and Daniel came in 4th place with 46.3 pounds.
Awesome.
So except for night 2, everything on night 1 was all channel cats. And night 2, there was 4 flatheads that were caught between 24 and 19 pounds, I believe.
No, that's pretty good.
That's the only results I had. There was another tournament series, and it was on the Ohio, and I didn't get the results from that. They didn't send me anything. So.
Right. I actually don't have any tournament results for this week, but there's something I wanted to ask you about. We have a viewer. His name's Harold May, military guy. I know Harold for the last several years online. Him and I visit back and forth. He's bought some products from me. He has a question about circle hooks versus kale hooks for flathead fishing, and I know you do a lot of flathead fishing. So yeah. I wanted to get your opinion on that, and then I'll see where we stand as a unit on those.
Okay. Well, I've been using circle hooks since 1999, and you're correct. During the flatheads, using them on flatheads. Only unique thing about the circle hooks is you got to let the fish kind of move off. Most of the time, especially a big flathead, will move off fairly slow. You just can't, when you're fishing for a flathead, you're taking a chance with circle hooks, because the only way that circle hook is going to get hooked up is he's got to turn his head and start heading away from you. Well, when he does that, if he's near any kind of brush or anything, he's gonna hang you. And most of the time you can get them out. I've wrestled them guys out of trees. I've wrestled them out of a lot of stuff. But on the circle hooks, what I've did for years is I just take a nice slow sweep, bringing the rod back until it, really loaded up good. Now what I do is I just reel down on them. Once the rod starts to load up, even if they're pull and drag, I'm reaching up and I'm still reeling down on them. And then I try to do that real slow off to the side. I never do it over my head. I always do it off to the side and really load up that black horse rod. And that's all I fish with is black horses. So
we're gonna be sharing a new one out that we've been working on. I showed you and Chuck some pictures of it earlier. It's maybe 7 ounces.
Yeah, you're killing me with that thing.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I like that. Is that one of them on the rack behind you on the bottom there?
As a matter of fact, it is. It's this one right here.
Yeah. So,
7 ounces weight.
Wow. I mean, my Pro Drifter, you made me, that thing's light as I don't know what the weight is on it, but it's pretty light.
It's not 7 ounces though.
No,
But
the
we're going to
cork,
try them out.
the cork is probably 7 ounces on that rod alone.
We'll be trying some of them out when we get to Memphis. We'll have a good time with
All
that.
right, cool. That sounds good. So yeah, that's how I do it with the. I've never used KO hooks. I know that they've got their place. I have really used circle hooks since '99. So
I told Jerry, I said that's really or Harold, I'm sorry. I told Harold that that's kind of a personal preference, and if you're going to be in a lot of heavy cover, I wouldn't want the fish swimming off too bad. If I was in a lot of trees or brush or rocks, I'd want something on there where I could lay it on him and try to rip his head off. That way, you get it stuck, you can get him on out of there. But most of the time, even the biggest one that I've ever caught, and I forgot what the weight is, 60 something or whatever. I use circle hooks nearly all the time. It took me 2 or 3 years to learn how to use them, where I didn't quit trying to rip them away from them.
Yeah, there's a learning
curve. But once I
there.
did, there is, and you just got to leave the others at home, because you'll go right to them as soon as you miss one. But I specifically use those nearly all the time, except for back bottom bouncing. When I'm bouncing, I use those Gamakatsu big river hooks. They're the best I've found for that. And when they grab a hold of that bait, it's 100 feet or 200 feet behind the boat. Again, I'm trying to pull their head off. But as dead sticks out the side, I'm still using circle hooks, and there's no game to what I use. I use 2022 Eagle Claws. I've not found anything that's got a better hookup ratio, and they're strong and they're sharp, and that's what works for me. It don't work for everybody, but it works for me, and I'm going to continue doing that. I wanted to show you. I got Cindy snuck in here a minute ago. She didn't get on the screen very much, but I think she does this just so I can get on old Rob Clodfeller a little bit. With Rob Clodfeller is our sponsor for Whiskerware, and he's always. I know that he's wishing he had some of this. I know Rob's a wishing he had some of that, and that just goes to show you why I look like I do. But that's okay. What do we have for Doc's tip tonight?
Okay, on Doc's tip tonight, one of the things that I've carried for years is I carry one of these Leathermans. These rascals are really handy, just for the fact that you've got it on your side. I've got this leather pouch that it fits in. It just real handy, but it's got everything that you need in here. There's a screwdriver if you got something that needs to be tightened. I know some of the side plates come loose on your reels. It's got this little rascal right here. It's got everything that you need. If you get yourself in trouble and you got to cut your anchor rope real quick, it's the knife in this thing is like a razor, so you can cut that.
It is
right off. So just a multi-purpose tool, very handy to have on you while you're fishing, and that's Doc's tip for the night.
And a lot of things won't cut braided line, but the knife on that will cut it, and it's not long about doing it. You're right. They come out really sharp, and if it gets dull for whatever reason, I've dropped a lot of knives over the side of the boat. When you're especially when you're tournament fishing, you get excited and things happen. Next thing you know, you got your knife that comes in a pouch. If you wear shorts or a pair of pants that has a belt on it, you just tie that on there. Those things are priceless. If you need something and you've knocked your pliers overboard, or you can't find them, if you put them in the wrong compartment where you usually don't, your knife or anything like that, and all that stuff is built into one, and it's a quality product. And Leatherman probably is the top name brand, but I've had Gerbers and several others, and they all do a good job. There's a ton of people that make them.
Yeah, there's a ton of people that make them.
Well, that's a great.
I've had this one a lot of years, and it's just small, and that's what I want.
Exactly.
I got a big body, and I want a small too.
Oh man, well that's great. I was glad Brad come on tonight. Now I'm going to give some updates here on some stuff. I have been talking with several people about coming on the show. Many of you watch the Outdoor Channel and stuff like that. Big Water Adventure host Mark Davis We're trying to get him set up to be on here, and I know that he's not fishing for catfish, but I've talked to Mark quite a bit, and he has fished for catfish when he was a lot younger and stuff, but he's sold on the ocean stuff, and that's awesome. The reason we want him on our show is to share some of the information that he has about skin cancer from being in the sun. Mark has had skin cancer. He goes all the time and has it checked, and it's a very close subject to him, and I think that'll make a really good show. And you know, he's a lot of fun to visit with, so we'll have a lot of fun with him. Get him on here. We're working, trying to get Aaron Wheatley on here before Monsters on the Ohio. That way, any issues or any questions, we can get them cleared up and get that taken care of before everybody makes their trip to Owensboro. I was on the phone today with George Young Jr. We're going to be getting George on here again. Not sure what the date on some of this is because everybody has to get things worked out. But we've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up in the next.
Yeah, I think we're working to get Dale Kearns on here.
Dale's another one.
Illinois.
Yep, I've talked to him, and he's going to be on the show with us. We just have to get a date picked out that he's not going to be working, or he can turn loose on a Monday night. And like I say, this stuff is very hard to come up with these things. I'm going to talking with Josh Vanover. We're going to try to figure out a date to get him in here for a few minutes to talk about the Bruce Midkiff tournament coming up. So stay tuned for all this stuff. I got a note here from Justin Wolf, said paramedic scissors work great. I guess he's talking about for cutting that braid, and I never thought about that because I've got a couple pair of them just laying around here. I might put them in because that's pretty important stuff.
Hey, tournament this weekend, right here close to me, Cabela's tournament, going out of Portsmouth, Ohio, Saturday, August 6th.
Awesome.
So that's going to be a hot one. Man, the water right now, I know the water around here is 87 degrees.
Wow.
Right now, it's really warm. Yeah, it's really hot. I don't even know how fish can stand it. We were on the lake. The lake we were on this weekend, it was 85. So
wow.
It's quite warm.
Yep, it's not going to be any better for a while. We're just in July. We still got August and September to go through. So it's going to get there. While we're on that subject, Twisted Cat Outdoors, Alex Nagy is having him and Elizabeth are having their tournament this weekend out of Quincy, Illinois. Launches at 7, weigh-ins at 3. And that's going to be a really good tournament up there. You can fish anywhere on the Mississippi River and its tributaries. There'll be a lot of guys fishing the Hannibal Quincy pool, a lot of guys fishing the Quincy Canton pool, and a lot of guys fishing the Canton Keokuk pool. There may be guys go further than that. I don't know where they're going to be. I look for it to be a pretty good turnout. It'll be a ton of fun. But again, like you said, Doc, it is going to be really, really warm out there. So make sure you take your sunscreen and anything that you can to keep cooled off. But we're going to go up there. We're going to have a good time and
drink plenty of liquids. Can't stress that enough. Drink plenty of liquid. You don't want to get dehydrated.
That's exactly right. Now, I drink a lot of tea, and when we take soda when we go on there, but we take a lot of just water. Nothing can replace that water, and it's the fastest thing we can be out there and it's hot like that, and I can drink a couple of sodas or I can drink a couple of teas, and nothing fits the bill like a good cold drink of water.
Yeah.
Well, I think that'll about wrap it up for tonight, Doc. We had a really good visit with Brad, and we'll get Brad back on here. I know he's got some more tournaments coming up that are really giant tournaments, and we'll get all these guys lined out and let everybody know as quick as we can when we get dates for all of them and different
Sounds
things.
Good.
Yep. So keep Chuck and Leanne in your prayers, people. And for Doc Lang, I'm Lyle Stokes, and thanks for watching Catfish Weekly.